Assalamualaikum. Good day to each and everyone. I am Sadik and Pamikirin, the reporter of Chapter 10, which is Rizal's first homecoming. And my partner in this report is Khalid Raopan. And the topic that given to me is first, decision to return home. Second, delightful trip to Manila. Third, arrival in Manila. Fourth, happy homecoming. And fifth, storm over Denali. So, all the alluring beauties of foreign countries and all the beautiful memories of his sojourn in alien lands could neither make Rizal for his fatherland nor turn his back to his own nationality. He remained at heart a true Filipino with an unquenchable love for the Philippines and an unshakable determination to die in the land of his birth. So, Rizal's plan of coming back home as early as 1884, Rizal wanted to go back to the Philippines for the following reasons. So first reason is that for his financial difficulties in Calamba. Second, dissatisfaction with his studies in Madrid. Third, desire to prove that there is no reason to fear going home. And last, his belief that the Spanish regime will not punish the innocent. So, decision to return home. After 5 years of his memorable sojourn in Europe, Rizal returned to the Philippines. However, Rizal was warned by the following not to return to the Philippines because his no limit tangere angered the friars. And Pasiano Mercado is Rizal's advisor and only brother. Sylvester Obaldo, Rizal's brother-in-law, husband of Olympia, and Josima Cecilio Chingoy, one of Rizal's closest friends. And Rizal was determined to come back to the Philippines to the following reasons. First, to operate his mother's eye. Second, to serve his people who had long been oppressed by Spanish tyrants. Third, to find out for himself how the Noli Me Tangere and his other writings were affecting Filipino and Spaniards. And last, to inquire while Leonor Rivera remained silent. So in a letter to Blumentritt written in Geneva on June 19, 1887, Rizal said, "Your advice that I live in Madrid and continue to write from there is very benevolent, but I cannot accept that. I cannot endure the life in Madrid where everything is a voice in a wilderness. My parents want to see me and I want to see them also. All my life I desire to live in my country by the side of my family. Until now I am not Europeanized like the Filipinos of Madrid. I always like to return to the country of my birth," Rizal said. And June 29, 1887 in Rome, Dr. Jose Rizal wrote his father announcing his homecoming. Next, delightful trip in Manila. Rizal left Rome by train to Marseilles, a French port which he reached without mishap. And on July 3, 1887, he boarded Gemna, the same steamer that brought him to Europe 5 years ago. And there were 50 passengers, 4 Englishmen, 2 Germans, and 3 Chinese, and 2 Japanese, 40 Frenchmen, and 1 Filipino, which is Rizal. And the steamer was en route to the Orient via the Suez Canal. Rizal thus saw this canal for the second time. The first was when the ship reached Aden. The weather became rough and some of Rizal's book got wet. At Saigon on July 30, he transferred to another steamer, Haipong, that brought him to Manila. And Rizal was the only one among the passengers who could speak many languages, so that he acted as interpreter for his companions. And arrival in Manila. Rizal's voyage from Saigon to Manila was pleasant. On August 3rd, the moon was full and he slept soundly the whole night. The calm sea, illumined by the silvery moonlight, was a magnificent sight to him. And near midnight of August 5, the Haipong arrived. in Manila, Rizal went ashore with a happy heart, for he once more trod his beloved native soil. He stayed in the city for a short time to visit his friends. He found Manila the same as when he left it 5 years ago. There were the same old churches and buildings, the same holes in the roads, the same boats on the Pasig River, and the same hairy walls surrounding the city. Happy homecoming. When Rizal arrived in Calamba, rumors spread that he was a German spy, an agent of Otto von Bismarck, the liberator of Germany, a Protestant, a Mason, a soul halfway to damnation. And Don Francisco did not permit him to go out alone. And on August 8, he returned to Calamba. His family welcomed him affectionately. With plentiful tears of joy, his family became worried about his safety. Pasiano did not leave him to protect him from any enemy assault. In Calamba, Rizal established a medical clinic. His first patient was his mother, who was almost blind. And news of the arrival of a great doctor from Germany spread far and wide. Patients from Manila and other provinces flocked to Calamba. And Dr. Rizal was called Dr. Uliman because he came from Germany. Within a few months, he was able to earn 900 pesos as a physician. By February 1888, he earned a total of 5,000 pesos as medical fees. Rizal did not selfishly devote all his time to enriching himself. He opened a gymnasium for young folks and introduced European sports. He failed to see Leonor Rivera, Leonor's mother, did not like him to be son-in-law, and stormed over the no limit here. As Rizal was peacefully living in Calamba, his enemies plotted his doom. Aside from practicing medicine, attending to his gymnasium, he painted several beautiful landscapes and translated the German poems of von Wildernath into Tagalog. Governor General Emilio Terrero wrote to Rizal requesting to come to Malacañang Palace for the reason of somebody had whispered to his ear that the Nole contains subversive ideas. And Rizal explained to him that he merely exposed the truth but did not advocate subversive ideas. He was pleased by Rizal's explanation and curious about the book. He asked for a copy of the novel. Rizal had no copy that time but promised to send one for him. So Rizal visited the Jesuits. Rizal visited the Jesuits' father to ask for the copy of the novel that he sent them. He was gladly welcomed with the following friars: Father Francisco de Paula Chances and Father Jose Beck, Father Federico Faura. He told Rizal that everything in the novel was the truth and warned him that he may lose his head because of it. And fortunately, Rizal found a copy in the hands of a friend and was able to get it and gave it to Governor General Terrero. And Governor General Emilio Terrero is a liberal-minded Spaniard who knew that Rizal's life was in jeopardy because the friars were powerful. Because of this, he gave Rizal a bodyguard to protect him. And his bodyguard name is Jose Taviel de Andrade. He is a young Spanish lieutenant who came from a noble family. He was cultured in new painting. He could speak French and English and Spanish. He became friends and they became good friends. And Governor General Terrero read the Nole and found nothing wrong with it. He was dissatisfied with the report of the Dominicans because he knew that they were prejudiced against Rizal. He sent the novel to the Permanent Commission of Censorship, which was composed of priests and laymen. The report of this commission was drafted by its head, Father Salvador Font, Augustinian Cora of Tondo, and submitted to the Governor General on December 29. It found that novel to contain subversive ideas against the church in Spain, and recommended that the importation, reproduction, and circulation of this pernicious book in the islands be absolutely prohibited. And when the newspapers published Font's written report of the censorship commission, Rizal and his friends became apprehensive and uneasy. The enemies of Rizal exulted in unholy glee. The burning of the Nole only served to make it popular. Everybody wanted to read it. News about the great book spread among the masses. What the hated Spanish masters did not like, the oppressed masses liked very much. Despite the government prohibition and the vigilance of the cruel Guardia Civil, many Filipinos were able to get hold of copies of Nole, which they read at night behind closed doors. And thanks to Governor General Terrero, there were no mass imprisonment or mass execution of Filipinos. He refused to be intimidated by the friars who clamored for harsh measures against people caught reading the novel and its author. And that's all for my report.
Magandang araw sa inyong lahat. Ako nga po pala si Khalid Raopan at ako po ang pangalawang reporter para sa Chapter 10. So ang aking topic ay binubuo ng Attackers of Noli, Defenders of Nori, Rizal and Travels de Andrade, Calambas Argean Travel, Farewell to Calamba, and A Poem for Lipa.
Father Font printed his report and distributed copies of it in order to discredit the controversial novel.
So yun na nga po guys, ang first attacker po ng Noli is si Father Ford, ang head ng Permanent Commission, kasi nga nalaman niya na yung Noli is nagko-contain siya ng subversive ideas against the church and the Spain.
Father Jose Rodriguez, prior of Guadalupe, published a series of 8 pamphlets under the general heading Cuestiones de Sumo Interés, Question of Supreme Interest, to blast the Noli and the other anti-Spanish writing.
So yun na nga guys, si Father Rodriguez ay sumulat siya ng 8 series of pamphlets na may iba't ibang title, pero lahat na yan is under lang siya in questioning the supreme interest or Cuestiones de Sumo Interés.
Copies of these anti-Rizal pamphlets written by Father Rodriguez were sold daily in the churches after Mass.
Siyempre nga, kung binibenta siya sa simbahan, wala kang magagawa kung hindi bumili dito. Diba? And according dun sa 8 pamphlets, Cuestiones de Interés, ay meron itong 3 ipinupunto. Una, si Jose Rizal ay mangmang dahil hindi niya tunay na babatid ang tunay na kalagayan ng mga Filipino sa pamamahala ng mga Kastila. Pangalawa, masama ang pagbasa ng Noli. At ang pangatlo, dahil kung masama ang pagbasa ng Noli, mayroon itong kaakibat na kaparusahan. At ang kaparusahan nito ay ikaw ay mapupunta sa impyerno. Siyempre, ikaw ba naman kung isa kang devoted na Catholic, matatakot ka talagang basahin yung Noli dahil nga dun sa kaparusahan na ikaw ay mapupunta sa impyerno.
Storm over Noli reached Spain and fearlessly attacked on the session hall on the Senate of the Spanish Cortes by various senators, such as General Jose Salamanca, General Luis M. de Pedro, Senior Fernando Veda. The next attacker is Vicente Varantes, a Spanish academician of Madrid, a formerly occupied high position in the government in the Philippines.
So si Varantes, guys, ang ginawa niya, he bitterly criticized yung Noli Me Tangere sa kanyang published work na España Moderna in January 1819. So imagine guys, si Rizal dumating lang siya sa Philippines in 1887 to 1888. Tapos dire-diretso until 1890 dire-diretso yung pag-atake sa Noli Me Tangere. So ganun ka big issue yung Noli Me Tangere sa mga panahon na yon. Yes guys, kung may attackers po ang Noli, meron din po itong mga defenders.
The first on the list sa mga defender ng Noli is Marcialo H. Del Pilar, Dr. Antonio M. Rodrigador, Graciano Lopez Guiana, Mariano Ponce. Father Sanchez, Rizal favorite teachers in Ateneo.
Bale, Father Sanchez defended the Noli in public place.
Don Sigismundo Moret, a former minister of the Crown. Dr. Miguel Moraita, historian and statesman, professors Blumentritt, scholar and educator, read and liked the novel, defended it. Next defender is Father Ray Vicente Garcia, a Filipino Catholic priest. Father Garcia pen name is Justo Desiderio Magalang. He wrote a defense of Noli which was published in Singapore on July 18, 1888.
So, bali yung ginawa niya is nagsulat siya ng mga article who was published in Singapore na nakakatulong upang ma-save yung Noli.
Rizal defended his novel against Barantes using a letter.
So, ang ginawa ni Rizal ay he exposed the ignorance of Barantes. Kumbaga, si Barantes nga hindi pa nga siya nakakapunta ng Pilipinas. So, paano niya nalaman na paano tayo pamunuan ng mga Kastila dito kung maganda ba o hindi? Even you are a supporter of Noli Me Tangere or Rizal, you are really, mahirapan ka talagang maghanap or makasecure ng copy ng Noli Me Tangere. So, balikan ko muna si Father Garcia, may nakalimutan ako. So, going back kay Father Garcia, di ba yung sinabi ni Father Rodriguez, yung 3 punto. So, ang sabi doon ni Father Garcia is, kung si Rizal ay isang mangmang, then, for the information of everyone, si Rizal ay graduate ng mga finest university dito sa Maynila at sa Madrid. So, ang ibig sabihin ba nun, nabigo ang mga university na to na mag-produce ng decent graduates? Pangalawa, kung masama ang pagbabasa ng Noli, ang ibig sabihin ba nito yung mga paring nakabasa ng Noli is masasama? And pangatlo, kung mapupunta sa imperno ang mga taong nagbabasa ng Noli o nakabasa ng Noli, ibig sabihin din ba nito pupunta sa imperno ang mga paring nakabasa ng Noli? So Lieutenant Andrade and Rizal, the both of them love fencing, shooting, hunting, and painting. And Lieutenant Andrade of Rizal refined Rizal as gentleman and educated. So yun na nga yung rumors in Mount Makiling, hosting of a German flag on the top of the mountain and proclaim sovereignty over PH. So yung si Rizal daw nag-proclaim ng sovereignty sa on top of the Mount Makiling, which is hindi naman yung totoo kasi rumors lang talaga yun. What married Rizal's happy days in Calamba together with Lieutenant Andrade is ang pagkamatay ni Olympia, ang kanyang kapatid, dahil sa pagbibigay ng anak or panganganak. And the tales that Rizal was a German spy agent and Bismarck resistance in a mansion in which soul beyond salvation it.
Calambas Argean Trouble.
Dahil nga kay Governor General Terrero, dahil sa kanyang influence sa pagbabasa ng Noli, he ordered the investigation of the Fair Estate na lakihan yung pagkuha ng mga taxes sa hacienda. Result finding of the Fair Estate with the tenant signatures with 3 official of the Calambas hectares. Number 1 is Hacienda Town. So yung buong Hacienda Town po yan, yung buong Calambas City rather, isa po yan dating malaking hacienda na pinatatakbo ng mga praile or ng mga pare. Dahil doon, mas lumalaki yung kita ng mga pare or praile na hindi naman na ibibigay sa pamahalaan.
No contribution to the hacienda owner.
Bali yung festa, ang laki-laki ng binabayad pero wala pa rin improvements sa agricultures. Yung mga tenants ay hindi na nakakabayad ng kanilang mga buwis at mas tumataas pa yung mga interest sa kanila na nagiging dahilan ng pagkawala ng kanilang mga lupa. Lupa, what I mean is mga bahay, hayop na inaalagaan o maging ang kanilang mga sariling ari-arian.
Farewell to Calamba.
So bali guys, ang mga praile, pinressure nila si Governor Terrero at saka si Rizal na paalisin sa Maynila. So ang nangyari, si Governor Terrero, pinasamon niya si Jose Rizal para sa i-deport ito without valid reasons. And anonymous letter of death threats coming from the family, received by the family of Rizal. So kahit kanino na lang, parang araw-araw merong death threats na dumarating sa family ni Rizal. Dahil nga sa mga nangyayari, nang nakakita ng chance si Governor Terrero, sinabihan niya si Rizal or inadvise niya ito na umalis ng Pilipinas para sa ikabubuti ng lahat. So yun ang mga reasons ni Rizal sa pag-alis ng bansa. Ayaw niyang masaktan o madamay ang kanyang family, friends sa kung anumang gulo ang mayroon sa kanya and para sa ikabubuti ng lahat. And sinabi din niya na kung siya ay nawala sa bansa, mas makakalaban siya ng mabuti sa mga Espanya. And yun ang mga naging rason ni Rizal kung bakit siya muling aalis ng bansa.
Poem for Lipa.
So si Rizal, itong poem for Lipa, sinulat niya ito in commemoration for his city. At doon nagtatapos ang chapter 10, ang first homecoming ni Jose Rizal, 1887 to 88. At muli ako po si Khalid M. Raopan, ang pangalawang reporter para sa chapter 10.